YouTube found a community, Bob Dylan fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggins, and we're here today to talk about an In the Groove video, which I haven't done one in quite some time now. And if you're new to the channel, In the Groove is something I do every once in a while where we come up with a discussion of albums we wish we existed or materials that we wish exist that don't or we'd like to see in the future. So if there was a concert that you really wished you had gone to and you wanted to have like a DVD copy of that, or if there was an album that you wished existed, like Smile or something, that's kind of what we talk about on this series. So today, I wanted to talk about if Bob Dylan put out a 1971 album, and I've been working on this for a little while now, and I came up with 10 songs together as a unit. And I'm actually really proud of it. Like, I've played it through several times now, and I'm like, wow, this is actually a pretty solid record. I think it would have been pretty decent for him. So, after 1970, after the New Morning album came out, Bob did a couple of shows. He famously played with George for the concert for Bangladesh. But he wasn't putting out a whole lot of music at that point in 1971, or 2, or 3 for that matter. I mean, the soundtrack to Billy the Kid came out that year, but he was still recording and was putting out material. So because of that, Columbia was like, well, if Bob's not going to put anything out right now, we should put out like another greatest hits or something. And Bob was like, that's cool. Let me take care of the track list. I'll do it for you. And he wanted to put out a lot more unreleased stuff, but they were like, no, we need some more commercially type stuff. So Bob was like, okay. And he went in the studio with his band at the time and cut like 4 or 5 tracks. That make up most of side 4 on this album here, the incredible Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits Volume 2. And so what I did was I took all those new tracks, including Watching the River Flow, which was a single in the summer of '71. I took those, and then I went to look at his another self-portrait box set, and the Bootleg series volumes 1 through 3. So that covered a lot of the 69, 70, 71 period stuff. And I came up with this set list, and I'll put it down in the comments below as well, or in the description box. But this is what I came up with. So the first track, Watching the River Flow, I think works perfectly. Yeah, it's the first track on this album too, but it works great as an introduction. It's got a really unique country-ish flavor to it, but Bob's voice is so like gruff and introspective, and I just love the message. I just love the articulation of the whole thing. It's just a uniquely comfortable feeling track. Like the acoustic guitars on this thing, the pacing, the drumming. It's a very interesting song for him, and he's done it live a bunch of times, but I feel like it's one of those tracks that just gets forgotten about for some reason. So starting off with Watching the River Flow. Second track is You Ain't Going Nowhere, which had been done a few more times before Bob even got to do his own thing with it. Which I love that track, so I put that on as the second one. It's upbeat, it's sprightly, it's got some good phrasing to it, so I thought that'd be a good follow-up after Watching the River Flow. Track 3, I went with Wallflower, and this version in particular is from the Another Self-Portrait box set that came out a couple of years ago. There's also another one that came out on the volumes 1 through 3 in the early 90s, but I went with this one. Again, the pacing on it was nice. I liked how you have a couple of band tracks, so then you get a solo one with just him on guitar. Or a piano rather. So it felt really good to have that kind of transition there. It's just a really nice song, but and the reason why I included that one is because a lot of people have mentioned that it's been on 2 box sets now, so it's kind of like part of his myth or his folklore of this era was the song Wallflower, and it's been covered by a bunch of people too, so it's well known. Well, it's known to Dylan fans. After that was Pretty Saro, which was recorded in 1970 and also came out on the Another Self-Portrait box set. And the reason why I put that one on here is because that was a single for that box set. So kind of the time, also a single, also used for promotion of material done sort of in that time period. But it's a beautiful song. I mean, Bob's voice on that track is unbelievable. The guitar playing is perfect. Bob's voice goes places he doesn't normally go. I mean, he hits a couple of like almost falsetto moments with his vocals. Of doing this old traditional track, and I just love it. I think it's a fantastic song. So that one came on number 4. And then side 1, if I was doing this as a record, side 1 ends with the acoustic version of George Jackson, which was the B-side to the more electric version. But this one for me felt, obviously it's a protest song, but for me it kind of harkened back to that earlier Bob sound of the acoustic guitar and harmonica kind of thing. But I felt that was a pretty moving way to end side one. Side two, I opened up with When I Paint My Masterpiece, which really is a fantastic song. It's one of the best things he's ever written, and I just read a great interview with him recently where, because he's got a new album coming out, the interviewer talked to him about that song and how it's grown on that interviewer over the years, and Bob was like, yeah, it's grown on me too over the years. So it's a really reflective piece, but I liked it a lot because you're back into the full band feel. So starting off side two with a full band song, I thought was a pretty good idea. Track 7 overall, but track 2 on side 2, I went with Spanish is the Loving Tongue. And I chose that one because it's the piano version from, which one was this on? Oh, so George Jackson, that was from the B-side acoustic side tracks CD. Spanish is the Loving Tongue. This one came from another self-portrait as well. And I love this version way more than the one on self-portrait. That one for me is like, it just doesn't work for me. The piano version of him, just with him and a piano, is way more interesting and way more connecting with the audience. I mean, the emotion that he puts into the vocal, it just speaks on a whole different level. It's a much more heartwarming, introspective, connecting version of that song. So I went with that one. Thirsty Boots follows that one. And again, this was also from a single from the Another Self-Portrait box set of a song he recorded in 1970, so it fits of the time period, but chose it because it was a single. So it's kind of like collecting singles and B-sides and kind of combining something together of its era, which I love doing that stuff. So Thirsty Boots made it on there. And then the second to last song here, Down in the Flood, just a knockout of a song that came off of this thing as well. Full band going at it. Catchy, energetic, upbeat, interesting song. And then track 10, I ended with I Shall Be Released, which I thought was a perfect way to end this thing because it's such a classic song for him, which wouldn't officially be released until the Basement Tapes a few years after. Oh no, was that on there? That may not have been on there. Quinn the Eskimo wasn't on there either. But they did it for like the last waltz, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I've seen that. But classic Bob Dylan and the Band type song, I Shall Be Released. And it was a very fitting, for me, it kind of like sums up the album, because the album as a whole, as you follow it, it goes through a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of introspection there. There's a lot of like traditional, so kind of like looking back. There's also a couple forward-thinking songs. So it feels like a Bob Dylan album to play it this way. So, you know, make of it what you will. I was kind of impressed with myself on this one. You know, I played it a few times through and I was like, all right, this is actually pretty solid. I can get behind this. I don't know what I would call it though. That's the only thing. As I've made it on, everything I've done for this one is on Spotify. All the tracks are on Spotify. I don't own all the box sets for this stuff because they're expensive. But when I made the playlist, I just called it Unreleased 1971 Bob Dylan Album. But honestly, I think I might call it When I Paint My Masterpiece. I think it's a really fitting title because a lot of these songs are about looking at yourself, looking at the world, trying to figure out your place in the world, and Bob is always a good author of that kind of stuff. So maybe I'll call it that. Let me know what you think. I'm going to put the track list again below in the description box to see what you guys have to think about it as well. And you know, each song, where it comes from, which particular album it comes from. But that's it. Just wanted to make a quick video to talk about. I love making these unreleased albums, and I do a lot of them. I should start making videos about me doing this stuff, but in the groove, there you go. I know Kaz, if you're watching, I don't have the sign anymore. Well, I have the sign, but it's in a box somewhere. And for all you newbies, I used to have a sign with a light on it. You'd hold up and you could write on it and stuff. It was cool. So, sorry, Kaz. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know your thoughts on a 1971 Bob Dylan album, what you do, what you would change, what you would add, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. My name is Giggins. Bye-bye.